You have in you right now a part of yourself that is courageous. All right, just for the simple fact that you're starting to look for alternate sources of information, the fact that you're trying to think about building your online business and building your brand and producing content and getting your message out into the world, there is a courageous self inside you right now. And so just in the same way that you develop a muscle, in the same way you develop any sort of skill, you have to develop the skill of courage. And the skill of courage is only developed through repetition and actually bravely stepping out of your comfort zone. All right. Now, this awesome quote from Nelson Mandela always rings true in my head. He said, "The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." All right. And so if you are in a state of fear and anxiety, whenever you're trying to do a new task, if you're trying to create your online business, if you're trying to speak from the heart, what you really need to try and do is push through the pain barrier, all right? Because the pain barrier is actually just a survival mechanism of your brain. And so if you think about this for a second, anytime your brain gets into a new environment, anytime you step somewhere you've never been before, there is going to be a large degree of fear associated with it. So if you take a little child, for example, and you put them in a dark room where they've probably never been before, it's unfamiliar, they don't really know what's behind the thing, they don't have the experience that we do to know that, you know, if the lights go off, you know, there's no sort of monsters or goblins hiding around. Now, and so you put a kid in that in that environment, and they're gonna probably shit themselves. And the reason this happens is because the brain is a prediction mechanism. The brain is a prediction machine. So your brain constantly throughout the day is trying to predict what is going to happen. It's trying to predict how much energy to conserve on one thing, how much energy to put into one thing, how to respond to certain external influences. And so throughout our experiences and all the memories that we've created throughout our entire life, our brain basically draws on those memories to decide how best to act in any given situation. Now, this happens very subconsciously. But once you can start to understand that, you can start to hack that system. Because the moment you get into a situation that you've never been in before, or you get into a situation where you don't have any experience behind what's happening, so for example, like the little boy in the dark room, he has no idea what the hell's going on. And so his brain starts to create what we call a prediction error. And so when a prediction error is created, it means the brain's never been here before, it's completely out of its comfort zone, and therefore it starts to signal certain feelings to come up for you, because feelings and emotion are prescriptions for action. And so in order for your brain to get you to do something, to survive, it creates a prediction error, which creates a series of emotions which come up and say, hey, you got to do something about this, get out of here. And so most of the time, those feelings are, holy crap, I'm afraid, I'm scared, this feels uncomfortable, this feels terrible. So usually the kid in the dark room will start crying because it's a prediction error, and crying is probably the only thing he knows how to do at that stage. And in which case an adult is going to go in, pick him up, take him out the room, hopefully. The same thing basically happens to you anytime you try to do something new. Anytime you get into an experience where you've never been there before, it might be going to a huge social event, it might be speaking on stage in front of 100 people. If you've never done it before, you're going to feel a little bit of discomfort. It might come up as fear, it might come up as frustration, it might come up as an anxiety, and it might even come up as, feelings of depression. But what really starts to happen, and this is where most people fall flat, this is where most people never ever progress further, is because that feeling of discomfort is uncomfortable. That feeling of discomfort is so uncomfortable that people are like, no, this doesn't feel right. My gut actually says I shouldn't be doing this right now. Okay, where in actual fact, your brain is just doing its job. And so in order for you to actually expand yourself and grow out of the comfort zone that you're in and the different patterns that you're living through, it is actually vitally important for you to stay in that discomfort. Because when you stay in that discomfort and you bump around, you make a few mistakes, you bump around in the dark, for example, your brain slowly starts to take in that new information and learn what that new situation has in offer. Okay, it starts to learn how to adapt and evolve in that situation. And so our brains are so powerful in the sense that they just need more exposure to that new environment in order for the brain to get comfortable with that new scenario and that new experience. That's why and how you learn anything new. You have to put yourself in an environment you've never been before until your brain becomes comfortable with it and recognizes it, and the prediction errors stop flying off. Okay, but how can you ever learn something new and actually condition your brain for a new experience if you don't put yourself in that experience in the first place? That means the prerequisite for growth, or the price you have to pay in order to grow in any environment in life, means that you have to be able to suck at something. You have to be able to deal with the discomfort of the prediction errors that your brain is creating. Because if you never ever did that, your brain would never learn new ways of operating. It would never learn about new environments. And so the real trick here is to basically be able to reframe the experience. So what I mean by that is, if you get into a new environment and you feel fear, you feel self-doubt, you feel frustration, you feel all of those things, it's important for you to know, okay, my brain is just shooting off prediction errors right now, and it's signaling to me that I'm out of my comfort zone, and therefore, if I'm out of my comfort zone, I'm actually in a place of growth. So the trick is to reframe your discomfort as a signal for growth. Because when you can reframe it, you can actually change the meaning of the feelings that you're having. Because when I first started my online business, I was shitting myself. All right, I felt like I was giving birth for some reason. I literally felt so afraid when it came up to launching my online business that I almost didn't go through with it. And it felt fearful, it felt painful, it felt anxiety inducing. And deep down, I was like, the things that were going through my head, because I didn't understand this, were, maybe I'm on the wrong path. Maybe this isn't right for me. Maybe my gut is actually trying to tell me something here. But actually, thank goodness, because I had the right mentors in place, I was able to actually stick with that discomfort and break through into the next layer, into the next level, where my brain got used to it. I reframed the discomfort for a signal for growth. And then a few months later, it was like, what was I so stressed about? Why was I crapping myself? And so what you can do to just take away from this is that growth for you happens when you're outside of your comfort zone. And so when you do feel discomfort, rather than shying away from it and saying, this is anxiety inducing, this sucks, this doesn't feel right, this is painful, I need to stop, I need to retreat, it's actually no. It's realizing I need to press forward, or I need to at least stay in this discomfort for long enough until my brain becomes comfortable with it and it reframes the discomfort as a signal for growth. Because then you unlock so many new possibilities in your life. You go from one level to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, and you keep coming up against the same feelings, but you've reframed them so they don't actually hold you back anymore, but they become a signal that you're actually on the right path. And so for all of the brave hearts who are in our content challenge at the moment, they are bravely stepping out and actually creating content and posting it for the first time ever. And so for most people, the initial few days absolutely sucks. They feel imposter syndrome, they feel terrible, they're like, I can't maintain this. But then guess what happens? After week 1, week 2, it's like, whoa, I actually love this. This is awesome. This is actually fantastic. What was I so afraid of? And so that's really what starts to happen when you become growth minded and you start to slowly find ways to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You actually become a bit of a beast. You become a brave person. You become a courageous self. You give more energy to the courageous self inside of you. And so the courageous self is inside of you right now, but he just needs more flexing. He or she just needs more time where you're actually giving energy to that part of yourself as opposed to feeding energy to the fearful sides of yourself who are keeping you back in your comfort zone for longer than you actually need to be. And so if you look at the levels of consciousness, if you realize that the courageous self is waiting for you to just be a little bit brave and to sit in the discomfort, all right, for a little bit longer, then you'll start to experience more and more growth, more and more life, more and more experience. All right, because the process of building a business, for example, is a huge journey to embark on. You have to develop so many different layers of skills and experiences, but it requires you to basically deal with ridicule of what people think of you. You've got to deal with imposter syndrome. You've got to deal with not knowing what to do. It's the beginner experience. All right. Now, whether you're learning how to surf, whether you're learning how to ride a bicycle, it's exactly the same. You have to develop the skills in order to become the person who can do all of the things that you dream of. Because the fact that you even have dreams of having a better life, making more money, being healthier, getting in great shape, having the perfect relationship, the fact that you even have those in your mind means that they are an actual possibility for you to experience right now here on earth. Because we are all authors of our own life, which means if you can dream it and think about it, you can actually experience it in reality. It just requires you to stay with that thought thought, stay with that feeling until the reality of the physical world catches up to you. Because right now, I am the person already. I am the person that I'm dreaming of becoming already, right now in my mind. I just got to wait for the physical reality to catch up with me. So if you want support developing your courageous self, flexing your courageous muscle, join our free group in the description of this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.